and welcome to a new IT Conversations video, kind of a live coverage, well, semi-live coverage of HashiConf 2024. I'm here with Jeffrey. Jeff, welcome.
Johan, I have a bit of a deja vu, am I right?
Kinda, yeah. Well, the reason why this is not a live coverage is that we had some audio issues last week in Boston, or this week in Boston, but we still wanted to cover a piece of the event. But we recorded some cool videos which are part of what you're looking at right now. So Jeff, let's dive into it right now. HashiConf 2024. In general.
Yeah, where to start? I think it was an amazing event. I think it's much smaller than we are used to if you look at the larger VMworlds and Explorers. But it also makes it very nice and effective. So like 1,000, 1,500 attendees. But the entire leadership team is there. All the product managers are walking around. So yeah, the amount of kind of interaction that you can get with all these people, yeah, that's already that's amazing. So I really liked the show. Yeah,
and let's talk about before we dive into the details of the keynotes. One thing that to me really stood out was kind of the engagement and the buzz during those keynotes. So we saw two keynotes, one on the first day, one on the second day. First day was focused on ILM, Infrastructure Lifecycle Management. Second one was covering Security Lifecycle Management. But what really stood out is that the CTO, he was constantly having a short description of this is a new feature, then show the demo. Quickly went over to the next point, next feature, next announcement, next demo, and it was feature rich, demo rich, but also really you could feel the energy coming off of the keynotes.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very high energy and fast paced. I think you really see the evolution of HashiCorp, because if you look at, there was the 10th anniversary. If you look at kind of the first ones, it was even more, okay, this is a new feature, this is a new feature, this is a new feature. Now at least they're covering it with, hey, we see this customer challenge, we see an opportunity, this is a new feature that solves that challenge. So they're already doing a bit more storytelling, but it's still, I love the energy, and Amon, the CTO and co-founder, he's a great speaker. And it's very short, it's like an hour, 40 minutes. I don't know, an hour I guess. So I really love
but full of engagement. So let's dive into the two main topics. So ILM first. There were a couple announcements around Terraform, and let's dive into the first one, which is Terraform Stacks. What is it and why do we need it?
Yeah, so big disclaimer, I'm not a Terraform expert by far, but if you look at conceptually what Stacks solves, is that if you have kind of a multi-environment setup, so with dev, test and prod, that could be a real challenge before Stacks was introduced, because you had to maintain all these different kind of environments separately. And now with Stacks, you have the opportunity to really, kind of configure and manage them from a single configuration. So probably, if you have some questions about what this really solves and how it works, I think probably reach out to Stefan, for example, who is way more in-depth involved in Terraform. But I really I could understand the challenge and the feature that they're now releasing.
Second one, Terraform Migrate. So one of the things where it's not a secret that HashiCorp is slowly transitioning to become more of a service-focused company. They still have a huge open source landscape they fill, but as a company they need to evolve, and it's logical that they created some services around it. I know we had some challenges of migrating open source Terraform to the cloud version of Terraform. What did we see there?
If you are using the community edition of Terraform in this case, Terraform it remembers state. If you maintain as part of your infrastructure using Terraform, there is a state file. If you then migrate to the commercial version, you need to somehow get that state ingested into the new platform, and that's exactly where Terraform Migrate fits in.
And a fun fact that was shared is that they're actually using Terraform to migrate from Terraform
a bit of Terraform
open source to Terraform Cloud. But they showed a demo. It looked very, very promising. So it's something definitely we're gonna need.
Cool.
Another really cool presentation we saw was from HCP Waypoint.
Yeah. So Waypoint is the IDP, so the internal developer platform that they kind of re-envisioned. So they released a version of Waypoint way back, and now they went back to the drawing board, and they have a new kind of a new vision that they realized. So it's much more tailored towards kind of the developers, and really creating kind of the golden paths to production. And I will reach out to kind of our developer community internally to have a look and assess it a bit.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see that it's now available in beta or in general.
It's GA.
GA.
It's GA. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, another announcement or another feature that was or another version that was released was from a solution called Nomad. So Nomad 1.9, kind of more my thing, as in they announced GPU support for it, specifically for multi-instance GPUs with NVIDIA GPUs. But the cool thing is that during the demo of the general session, the keynote, they showed a GeForce 1080 Ti as the GPU used to run a workload on Nomad and integrate that GPU into the workload. So
that's a low-level entry, right?
Well, and a really old GPU already.
Exactly.
So they're promising more NVIDIA integrations in the near future, and even are working with other GPU vendors as well.
Cool.
But like Waypoint, I think yes, there is a market, but we're still seeing that Kubernetes is the de facto standard when it comes to container management. So we'll see there. Yeah, and I think the final announcement was that we are highly interested in was everything around HCP Packer. So there's an exposement of more metadata into HCP Packer from the images that you built and the workflows you built in Packer. So that's pretty cool. And I got my own presentation around Packer.
Thing, right?
I did a thing. Yeah, it was my first time, ever presenting at a Hashi conference. In this case, HashiConf. We talked about the stuff that we did with Airbus and how we optimized their image builds for a large, at large scale. And it was in the hallway track. There were quite a few people there.
It was insanely busy, right?
And I had no people falling asleep, or it was 2 p.m. after lunch, so it kind of feels like a sort of a graveyard shift.
Probably your stroopwafels helped as well.
I brought a shit ton of stroopwafels, handed them over, and people were really engaged. And really cool thing is that at the end of the session, the PM of Packer came to me, and because he was really interested in the stuff that we did. But also he introduced us to the director of product management for Packer. And we're going to follow up those conversations in the upcoming weeks and months. To see how we can evolve our own managed services based on the stuff that we already do. We're working on a service called IMS, which we'll share some more about in the near future, which fully runs on Packer. And the interest that we get from customers that we have some early conversations with is insane. And we definitely look forward to going further with that. We had a conversation with the PM.
Awesome. So one of the best things of this conference, I think, it's the buzz is awesome. It's not as huge as an AWS reInvent, but the cool thing is that you meet people behind the products. And in this case, I'm here with Rashan Chandna, who is the PM for Packer, one of our favorite solutions within ITQ. We've been building some really cool things for customers, with customers. So Rashan, how is this week for you?
This week's been great for me. I had some really exciting announcements.
Announcements about Packer, I guess?
About HCP Packer. So we launched CI/CD pipeline metadata in HCP Packer, allowing customers to see artifact provenance for their Packer builds.
So what's the value there for customers? What is one of the challenges you see that solves?
So customers, they want to see who built given artifact, where it was built, when it was built, etc. So customers can see things like the Git SHA, what repo a certain artifact came from, who the owner was, stuff like that.
Okay, so one of the things that we hear from customers is like there's kind of two versions of Packer, but that's not really the case. So the Packer that we use to build those images for customers, those containers, is the open source version of Packer. Now there's another solution called HCP Packer. So what is HCP Packer and how does it compare to the open source Packer?
Sure, so Packer Community Edition, right, allows you to build any artifact for any cloud from from HCL, infrastructure as code. HCP Packer deals with the management of these artifacts in your artifact estate once they're all built, right? So it's a artifact metadata registry.
Yeah, so HCP Packer doesn't really focus on packaging itself. It provides you much more insights and show that metadata. So what value do you see from customers they get out of HCP Packer?
Yeah, totally. So with HCP Packer, customers are able to set up a golden image pipeline. They're able to track all the artifacts in their estate and have channels for development, testing, production, etc., to make sure the correct images are being used by the correct teams in all the right places.
So that closes off, I think, everything around ILM. Yep. Let's dive into SLM, Security Lifecycle Management. Yep. And I think there were a couple of announcements, but the ones that really stood out was the first one is HCP Vault Secrets.
Yeah.
What is it and why do we like it?
Yeah, so without going too deep, and me going on thin ice, secrets management is a real big issue for companies because there are, and they showed like a top pyramid upside down, and on the top you have the big risk of all the unmanaged secrets, which you would like to get into Vault, of course, or at least you want to identify them. You want to get them into Vault, and ultimately, the ideal sweet spot is having dynamic secrets, where they are really short-lived. So you create a dynamic secret. Connection is being made to the database, for example. Once the connection is done, the secret goes away. That's kind of the ideal state. And that they now have secrets management, fully integrated into HCP Vault.
Yeah, really cool. I was, by the way, amazed by the numbers they had. For instance, they had customers that had tens of thousands of secrets being stored in their solutions. Yeah. I didn't know that. Like, it's such a big thing. It is.
In GitHub repos, there might be developers accidentally leaving secrets there. So it's a huge risk.
And you mentioned those secrets. One thing, well, obviously to determine what the risk is, you need to be kind of aware what's happening in your organization. Yeah. That's where HCP Vault Radar comes into play, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was an acquisition. I don't remember the original company name, to be honest. But it basically, you can connect all your different sources and estates to it. So, for example, your cloud accounts, you connect them. You can connect your GitHub or GitLab accounts to them, and then it basically scans all these environments to kind of identify if there are secrets, usernames, passwords and such, if they are out there. And they then map it onto kind of a risk index, because if it's a secret that they found somewhere in plain text, for example on GitHub, and you also have it as a secret in Vault, well, then it's probably a live secret that is being leaked onto potentially the web. So then you can really see in the user interface, hey, this is a really big risk. You need to take action, and they link all sorts of remediation advices as well. So this is really critical in managing that the top tier of the pyramid, all the unmanaged secrets, the things that you don't know about, and really get visibility, because you need visibility to protect stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, really cool stuff. Now, we're a partner of HashiCorp. We've been working on building that partnership for the last, let's say 12 months. Kudos to the sales team, for people involved, people of our cloud native team to work on that. We had a conversation with Anna-Maria Leuberg, who is our EMEA partner lead, who works closely with our partner manager as well. Let's look at the conversation we had.
So, Anna-Maria, you lead everything partner in EMEA?
Correct.
So how has this week been for you?
Fantastic. Well, first of all, I'm super pleased to have you here for the first time as ITQ, but also that EMEA, there are so many EMEA partners joining us this year, almost as many as from US actually. So that means that our partners are committed and see the value that this can bring to their customers. So yeah, one word, excited.
Yeah, well, we couldn't be more excited as well. So we covered already a couple of the announcements in this video. So when looking at the announcements, are there some of the things that were announced this week that, from a partner's perspective, are really interesting or really important?
Well, obviously, I come from like an infrastructure world, so I was very. I saw a lot of value you can bring around all the infrastructure announcements we did yesterday. I mean, we are a tool in a toolbox in a way. You bring the solutions together that makes value to our common customers. And just to see how this platform basically is like the plumbing, or the way that Armand described it yesterday, and how you then make it like easier for your customer to access. I mean, the future is super bright. I think there is so much we can do together. But I'm also super excited about the security announcements, and I don't know, that's more not really my turf as much, but I think the crowd was as excited about that as well. So
yeah, definitely. And you can notice it this morning in the keynote and yesterday as well. There's a huge buzz going on. People are actually excited about the continuous announcement that were done, the demos that were showed. So yeah, definitely there's a lot going on.
Yeah, and now, I guess you can just see the evolution of like we are getting better together, kind of. Yeah.
Now, together is interesting. So you lead partners.
Yes.
Why is it important for customers and for HashiCorp in general to work with partners?
Well, I would say, again, I almost touched it already, right? We are selling products, but customer needs two solutions. And you are the experts of the customers. You find those specific use case. You help them transform through a journey. And you bring vendors together and make it perfect for every unique customer. It's not, I mean, we come with tools, again, I've already said it, but you are the ones that bringing the real value to the customer. So I think we are just getting started on the journey and like what we together can do. Like also in general, we as HashiCorp, we can do much more together with you as partners. So again, the future is bright.
So, like, we had a couple of really cool interviews, and you mentioned at the beginning of this video that the entire leadership was there.
Yeah.
You got the opportunity to talk with one of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I interviewed the CEO, Dave McJanet, which is he's an amazing guy. He's really approachable. So we met him a couple of weeks ago at the Infrastructure Cloud event that we did together with HashiCorp in Eindhoven. So Francisco and I got the opportunity to spend like an hour with him, but we also, I know Martijn and the team had some customer meetings with him as well. And yeah, so it was a good momentum now to reconnect with him. So we had a conversation with him at the Partner Advisory Board. But it was really fun because I was standing next to him at one of the receptions. And I said, hey Dave, do you want to do an interview tomorrow? Yeah, sure, let's free up some time and let's do it. So it was really, just text me where you need me and what time, and I'll be there. So I was a bit flabbergasted because normally you need to go to PAs and all sorts of hoops to get with someone on such a position in front of the camera. So yeah, we did a really cool little talk with Dave. So let's show the video.
Hi, welcome to a report from HashiConf in Boston. And I'm very honored to be here with Dave McJanet, CEO of HashiCorp.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks Dave, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your undoubtedly busy schedule.
So there are a few people here, as you can tell.
Yeah, so it's an amazing conference again. Congrats. And next year, San Francisco, right, was announced.
You know what? That was actually news to me. So I didn't realize it was in San Francisco, and I found out at the same time as everybody else. That makes me happy as someone who spends a lot of time away from San Francisco that we're having in my hometown. That's great.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, in September, so keep an eye out on the agenda.
Good.
So, Dave, if I look at your product portfolio, it's really been kind of evolved, and I think you mentioned it yourself on Monday when you joined the Partner Advisory Board, that every HashiCorp product solves a single use case, right? A single
Correct,
problem.
yes.
But you guys are more evolving towards a full suite around infrastructure lifecycle management, security lifecycle management. Can you maybe share with our listeners a bit about the rationale behind that and where you see things going, of course?
Yeah, we in a sense we are just replaying what the market's been telling us for the last 5 or 7 years, which is, at the end of the day, people are going to have infrastructure across different kinds of endpoints, cloud, private data center, edge, et cetera. And what they're trying to figure out is how to standardize on the core infrastructure primitives that are going to be consistent across that estate. And that's at the infrastructure level. And what they play back to us is, I need to centralize and standardize an approach to secrets for my organization. Centralize my approach to certificate lifecycle across that estate. Centralize my approach to, call it key management and encryption across that estate. And so we developed a HashiCorp portfolio of products to address each of these different elements. As we increasingly offer our products as hosted managed services on the HCP platform, you see us actually decomposing them into these core services and making them available as HashiCorp Vault secrets.
Yeah.
You can imply directionally that's where it takes us. So we're really just sort of playing back, as we've gotten bigger, we've been asked by our customers to say, hey, yes, we buy products from you, but we really are turning around and offering those as core standard services for our consumers inside the org, and we're just trying to match that better.
Yeah, makes sense. So I think your catchphrase is do cloud right. And the technology is very important in doing cloud right. What's your perspective on kind of the people and process side of things? There's a big, opportunity or a challenge, whatever you want to put it.
It's huge. It's kind of funny. This notion of cloud is what's disrupted everything in the first place, because we all use the same operational approaches for a long period of time. And it wasn't until the advent of cloud and then edge that it forced people to think about the reality that everything's happening outside of their perimeter. And so we think about there's a technology reality that's brought in every company in the world. Hey, I have to use identity as the basis of security. I have to use infrastructure as code as the way to codify topologies. But there's actually a secondary challenge around org structure change, which is required to do that. You can't just let everybody do everything however they want. You actually have to have sort of these control points around infrastructure and security. I'll let the teams work with whatever app platforms they care about, but I have to standardize the core infrastructure constructs. So there's an org structure evolution that everyone goes through, which I think everyone struggles with, which is how do I centralize things around this notion of a platform engineering function that provides these things as services to my consumers. And that is actually a pretty significant mind shift, because it implies that instead of having a separate ops and security team, for example, I actually have to think about those things in a combined manner. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle. That's where a lot of people look for help from our ecosystem.
Yeah, perfect. Well, Dave, I'm going to let you go now. I know you're on a tight schedule. Thanks so much for taking the time again. And thank you all for watching, and see you next time.
I just want to say thank you for the partnership. I was in Benelux region for us last 2 weeks ago when it was.
Yeah.
And you can see, the problems people are running into there are no different than they are running into anywhere else around the world. We like to joke that everybody's infrastructure journey is the same. They have different kinds of applications on top. So appreciate the partnership with you all.
Absolutely. Likewise. Thanks.
Okay, I think this kind of ends our recap of HashiConf 2024. I'm really looking forward to what's next. We had some great conversations with different product managers, product directors. We also had a conversation with some vendors like Coder, which we'll definitely share some more information about in the upcoming months. Any last thoughts?
Well, just to kind of repeat your words, I'm super excited about the partnership, the momentum that we're having. I'm just really looking forward to what's next with HashiCorp.
Well, thanks so much. So, if you'd like to know more about the announcements, we written a blog post in which you can find the link to the blog post below this video. Also, if you'd like to know more about how we as a partner can help your organization get the most out of the HashiCorp products, or if you want to know how we can help you in your cloud native journey using those products, feel free to reach out. You can find our contact details below this video. For now, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.